Hi.
Hi, how are you?
I love that you are in the back of your screen flying head down, but up towards the ceiling.
Yeah. I wasn't sure. So I took a class at Tech Shop and you did like a vinyl. So you printed something and then vinyl would cut out around the edges. And I was like, what picture do I have? So I ran but I wasn't sure if I should put it upside down, or I was like, which way should this be? Because you can see the little plane in the background.
Yes. I think it works when you see the plane. It totally works.
Yeah, it probably makes more sense. There we go.
Yes. Perfect for this interview that you have that in your screen anyway.
Yeah,
oh my gosh, I love this. Thank you so much for doing this, by the way. I just jump in. I don't really edit these things. I don't edit these things at all. So yeah. Cool. Gosh, it's so weird. Like I just got this new computer, so it's like,
oh, nice.
Anyway, so the look and feel is different. I've got my work down on the.
Oh, is it? Am I HD? Can you tell? Are you? Let's see. Oh yeah.
I'm gonna have to get my the things that I have on the floor. I have to move those and look like I have my life coach shit together a little more. Yeah. Anyway, cool. So let's just jump in. Nadia Kellam, yay! Happy you're here. Thank you. Oh, so good to be seen. Well, why don't you just tell us a little bit, like give us your story a little bit, like the bullet points, like, a little background of your time in the sport. Like I wrote down, like, where did you start? Like when were you drawn to freestyle, and like what you drew you to competition and stuff like that. Like just sort of give us an overview.
Okay. Well, I was a undergraduate student, and me and this other girl were doing research over the summer, and somehow it came up that we both wanted to skydive. So I was like, let's go skydive this week. And we didn't know each other very well, but we went and made a tandem. And I really thought it was one of those things I'd do once, sort of like a bucket list type thing.
Right.
And I totally fell in love with it. And I think the reason I fell in love with it is because of the focus that you get with it.
Yeah.
As soon as when you're in the door of the plane, you're not thinking about anything else. You're not worried about your work or stuff that's going on with your family or, different types of things in the news. You're just focused on that moment. So I did it once and immediately wanted to do it again. I was an undergrad, so pretty poor. so it was about a year later before I did my second one. And then at that point I had gotten a graduate research fellowship.
Okay.
So they paid me to go to school, which was really exciting. And I planned to get, it wasn't a ton of money, but I planned to buy a newer car with it.
Yeah.
And after I did my second job, I was like, I don't care about what kind of car I drive. I'm going to do this. I'll pay for all my AFF jumps and everything.
I know. I totally sold my first car.
Yeah.
Totally sold my first car to buy my first rig. And it made me so happy because I moved to New York City. So I didn't need a car anyway. I was like, oh, perfect. I can sell my car, which I literally just gotten from like my parents. I feel bad. I'm like, sorry, Mom and Al. Thanks for the car that I used for 6 months, senior year of college, and then sold it. And I literally, did the whole sleep with my rig, cuddle it.
Yeah.
I'm happy to admit that.
Yeah.
So,
anyway, I drove a clunker for a while. Did it on the sides, but I didn't care. He got me to the drop zone and back. That's all.
Exactly. So go on.
So I just totally, just like probably a lot of people's stories, but totally fell hard for it. And every weekend, every chance I got, I was at the drop zone. I think I had started in May or June, so that summer, a lot of that summer I was there. And then when I got back into school, I'd go to classes, but whatever I could, I was at the drop zone.
Yeah.
It was St. George, South Carolina, so it was a very small drop zone.
I don't think I've been there, no.
No, they're not there anymore.
Oh.
But it was, it was really cool. It was interesting. I didn't, you don't know anything different whenever you start. So I think the very first jump I made was during a boogie in Chester in South Carolina. I didn't know what a boogie was. I didn't know it was a big deal that we went out of a casa. We walked out of the mat. I had no idea.
Oh
and
my
the second jump was at this small drop zone in St. George. And it was just a totally different sort of thing, but a really nice, small knit community.
Yeah.
Had some interesting things because I was a woman joining, getting into that group.
Tell me more about that. Cause go to that just because that's useful insight for sure.
Yeah. Well,
you have a story around that. If you're willing to share, you don't have to.
I'm happy to. Well, it was, new single woman on the drop zone. So all the guys like flocked to me.
Right.
Awesome.
Right.
This little 23-year-old, bubbly, whatever. So that was, it was mildly annoying because I'm like, oh, I have a friend. And then they try to like kiss you or something like that.
Right.
Not really a friend. You just want to get to know me.
Yeah.
There actually ended up being a lot of drama. There was one guy in particular that just made up this whole thing that we were like dating and told.
Oh no.
I had no idea until something happened. We were good friends. I thought we were good friends.
Right.
But when something had happened between us and someone told me about all this stuff and apparently told people we've been sleeping together and like this whole made up relationship that wasn't based on any reality. So after that, it was a little bit difficult because a lot of people really did believe, some of the crap that he had said.
Sure.
And I think it was around that time that I started talking to Robin. And
Robin, by the way, who's Robin? If people don't know who you are. Okay.
We said our 11th anniversary.
Just to clarify, that is relevant.
It is relevant. He was one of the, he has other stories with it or whatever, but for some reason, he thought that I didn't like him. He said I gave him this nasty look, which was really my sexy look, like the first time we went out. And so he was sort of just staying up. And he's like, I must remind her of somebody. Like, I'm just going to stay out. So he was one that I managed, that I became friends with and learned that I could trust. And then much later, we ended up starting dating. They started dating. I took him home for a one-night stand.
I love it. I love your willingness and your candor. Not that it is typically, I would say it's probably atypical that a one-night stand leads to a marriage, but it does happen. It does happen. Not to encourage that, but like, hey, you know what? To each their own in terms of their path of doing whatever. I mean, literally whatever, to each their own, legit. To speak to the experience though, that you mentioned about the person making stuff up and having that be challenging or whatever, like that's certainly totally understandably challenging, like it's a hard thing, I think, when we're new in skydiving, because these interviews, by the way, Nadia, if you're not clear, are meant to help younger jumpers, certainly to help the community at large, but to help younger jumpers sort of understand and navigate where they are new in the sport, help to understand it, blah, blah, blah. So I think it's really tough in that young period, being super attached to the outcomes that occur inside skydiving because we love skydiving so much that we freak out if like something affects our social, situation, or it feels, that would be challenging regardless, but it's magnified when we think that our happy place or the drop zone or anything around skydiving could be negatively affected. So it's just tough, I think, for people. But
I learned later on, and sometimes I'm a little bit clueless with some social interactions. So I guess with all this other stuff going on, I didn't realize there were a couple of women that were at the drop zone, and apparently one in particular really didn't like me. And I think she maybe didn't like me just because I was a woman, coming into the drop zone and into
who knows? Yeah.
But that can be a bit hard, and that's something more recently. And I've experienced it in skydiving also, but more recently with the flying trapeze. Like, it's amazing how a lot of people are uber supportive. Like you go up and you do your trick and you're like, oh, that was awesome. And just trying to build each other up instead of, it seems like sometimes in some of these small groups, especially with lots of males, I don't know, the women start tearing each other down instead of trying to amplify and help each other, push each other up.
Yeah, gosh, I can't say I've experienced, maybe I just have blacked it out, but I don't feel like I've experienced a ton of that. Maybe I just overtly positive shit just overtakes everybody. I don't do anything and I miss it entirely. I'm completely socially unaware.
I think part of it's also because of the nature of skydiving. Like, you don't, we all land from the same plane, but unless you and I were on the same jump, I don't actually even see what the other people are doing in the air necessarily. I might see a video or something so you can comment. So I've been trying to be, intentionally be like, oh my God, I just saw that jump. You're doing awesome. Or I saw your last landing. I know you've been working on that. That was amazing. I really saw progress. But I think sometimes we just get sort of in our own little head, doing our jumps, and we don't look out and help each other out.
Well, and I think it takes intention to go into skydiving and I say skydiving like as a whole, like to show up in an intentional way. You know what I mean? Like, I'm very intentional about my positivity. Yes, it's who I am. It's very ingrained in me. It's sort of like automatic now. But was it back when I was a new skydiver? No. It was in a way because I was so ridiculously in love with skydiving that like nothing affected, but like that's not true because I had experiences where people didn't like me and that caused me stress, but my intentional positivity and my like sort of focusing away from people that try to do that cutting down of other people and really just not partaking in that at all, like really just saying I'm gonna partake over here where people are positive and cool, and I'm gonna be positive and cool because that's how I roll. You know, it sort of keeps you out of the drama and keeps you into, you know, just where you want to be and how you want to feel when you're there versus feeling like you have to be a part of a situation that's drama filled. So anyway, let's digress from that for a second and tell me, so if people don't know, freestyle champion, right? I get to say that. And so tell us what freestyle is. Like, I'm sure some people watching will be like, I don't even know what that is. I've never heard of that. What is that?
So freestyle is an artistic discipline. Basically, you have the person that's the performer and then the videographer. And it's all about performance and pointed toes, you know, and doing cool tricks, but straight lines and everything has to look really nice. And you put together these routines that sort of can explore all different orientations. You know, it can be head down, it can be, straddle with your toes pointed, it can be belly and like spiraling or different types of things with different types of movement. And then you actually work together with your videographer. So it's not just static watching it, that you're both sort of playing together.
Yeah.
He or she's trying to get some really cool views and try to make you look better than maybe you are sometimes.
I've never done freestyle. Like that's something I've never ever done. I've been more drawn to the very rigid judging, you know, four-way. Like four-way's always been my thing, but I'm always super like impressed by the artistic side of the house because it makes me wonder because I don't even know much about it. Like you're honestly educating me too. Yeah. Like how is it even judged? Like what are the judges looking for?
So it's two sides. One side of it is the presentation, sort of the artistic part of it. The judges want to feel engaged, so eye contact. And they say if you're having a fight with your videographer, they'll know, or they can feel it, and that'll go into the score.
I bet you that's true. That's really interesting. I bet you that is totally true.
Yeah. So they want you to involve them, you know, in the video or in the in the stuff that you're presenting to them. And then the other part is technical. So they do try to look at, you know, what's more technically difficult than other moves. One of the problems with that is if you do it really well, it doesn't seem like it's that hard.
Right.
If someone goes up and actually tries it, they're like, oh shit, that's really hard. They've had people come to nationals with these amazing moves, these new things that they're doing. They don't score that well. Then the next year, other people try to copy them, and then they see the other people's attempts, and then they're like, oh, that might have been a little harder than we thought it was.
Got it. That's so interesting. I wonder if there's like a way to educate the judges, because I know oftentimes like the judges don't actually do the discipline, right?
Yeah, a lot of them, some of them have been involved in the past. A lot of them were performers or were involved in that sort of thing, and they certainly do. They do try. They try really hard.
Yeah, sure. I'm sure they do. I'm sure. I mean, I give mad credit to any competition judge. Holy shit, how not fun must that be? I mean, they must like it on some level, but I've been asked to be a judge a number of times, and I'm just like, oh my God, I can't, no way. I don't want to sit in a room for all day. I'd rather be skydiving, and even if I'm not jumping, just out socializing. I don't know. But I love that it's a version of giving back to the sport and a job that is often thankless. So judges watching, I thank you for your, you know, which is kind of ironic that it's
but for me, I liked, because I had started out with four-way, you know, at St. George, we had a team called the Missing Slut. That was a fun name. So it was three girls and a guy.
Nice.
But we did that, you know, sort of an intermediate team. And then I started getting into big ways, and I wanted to do 100-way, you know, belly type stuff. And I got into that, and the politics just got really weird. So a lot of it is who you know and getting on the right jumps, and then some people would come out that just hadn't been jumping in a long time, and they would hurt you, or I don't know. It was like I had a guy, we're running out of the casa, and he actually had his hands on my shoulders and just pushed me down until I finally like just fell and hit the tailgate with my stomach and couldn't breathe for a second as I was going out of the plane.
Oh my gosh.
Still beat him to the formation though. Just
That sounds very dangerous and not cool at all.
But then I was like, this isn't fun. Like it just got to where it wasn't fun for me. So I was like, I need to do something different. And that's when I started doing it. It was free fly at first. So we had a free fly intermediate team.
Yeah.
So much different. It's a smaller team, but you get to express yourself artistically. And I had so much fun with that. So we did an all women's team.
Cool.
And after, I guess, 3 years with that, the team, just sort of dissipated and people were on to different things. And I wanted to do a team, but I was like, I don't know what I'm going to do. So I thought about BFS. But there weren't people either with enough skills or with enough interest at the drop zone I was at. And so I was going to have to go somewhere else, which would have sort of stunk because that would have meant me and Robin wouldn't have seen each other that much. We did see each other was the weekends. And then I had this idea. I was like, wait, we could do a freestyle team, and then we could jump together. I didn't think he would agree to it. So he did. So that was fun, like training together. And yeah, it was a lot of fun.
I think what you point to is a big deal in that, like, politics and just feeling like you have to go through certain, jump through maybe social hoops or jump through just any hoop. Not necessarily that that's not a good thing, but just like, I'm happy and encouraged to hear that you didn't, obviously because you've had a skydiving career and have clearly been in the sport longer than this experience you're talking about in terms of big wave politics and stuff like that. Again, this is something I really haven't experienced myself, to be honest, which doesn't really matter why or why not. But like, where I'm going with this is that I'm happy to hear that you made decisions for yourself amidst that experience and didn't let it sort of drive you out of skydiving. Because I think stuff like that, social stuff, dating stuff that goes wrong, that kind of stuff is what jettisons people out of our sport and they don't come back. So it's like not only encouraging people like the leaders of the sport or the, more experienced people of the sport, encouraging them and really standing for, hey, let's be positive. Like that shit goes a long way. Don't participate or partake in or feel compelled to be a part of negativity if it's not where you want to be. And then secondarily for the young jumpers to be like, yeah, this stuff does happen, but it doesn't have to be, even if you feel like shit right now, like there are other avenues that can really be for you in the sport. Yeah. So I think that's a really good example of that. So
yeah, there's so many disciplines and so many, like, I don't know, I feel like, like some of the acrobatic wingsuit stuff, like I could totally get into that, there's so many different things that you can do and you can't do them all. So it makes sense if something does become onerous and, like I deal with politics in my job, like I don't need to do it on the weekend.
What's your job? Just so people know.
I'm an engineering professor at Arizona State University.
Cool.
But people, like when the weekend stuff becomes just as stressful as some of the stuff in your weekday job, it's like, wait a second, why am I doing this again? And so it helps you consider and sort of set new goals. And I've always been very goal driven. So I like teams. I like having something that you're working towards, but sometimes it's okay to let that go.
Yeah.
I didn't do the 100 way.
Absolutely.
But it was okay.
Absolutely. Yeah, no, for sure. And it's funny. Like this is one of the questions I wrote down was like, what is one of your favorite accomplishments in the sport? Like, from your career?
It'd probably be in the freestyle realm, I would imagine.
You're allowed to talk about yourself as a champion. You are one. That's it. You're allowed to talk about that.
Well, it's kind of cool. We, so Robin and I didn't have any experience with freestyle, and I think it's starting to grow a little bit now, but there just weren't that many people doing it. We didn't know anyone that did it. So we just started watching videos and figuring stuff out for ourselves. We had no idea. And so it was kind of cool that first year. We worked hard. We watched a lot of stuff online. It's hard to figure stuff out. It would have been amazing to have a coach, but there just were no coaches,
Right.
So we went to nationals, and I think that year, I believe we got third place that first year. And like, that was unbelievable. So I think there were maybe 5 or 6 teams that were there, and we actually placed. So we're on the podium, all that hard work paid off. It was really good feeling there. Certainly we had tons of work to do.
Oh yeah, of course. But like, it's so true, right? Like I always say one of my favorite accomplishments ever was winning a silver medal with Elsinore Jedi the year that we definitely couldn't beat Team Dysfunction, who was the Arizona team at the time, which ironically I joined when I moved to Arizona. But like the year that we competed against Dysfunction, we had one round where we tied them on a round that they could have easily killed us on. And it's not that they did poorly in the round, it's that we had such an exceptional round. And it was just one of the most amazing experiences of my whole career. It's not, we didn't win, you know, it was a moment of like, yes, that is our team coming together and achieving something that really, really does represent all that hard work. It's just so massively fulfilling. For me anyway, because I'm into teams and goals and stuff too.
That's awesome.
But okay, so next question for you. This is sort of like lessons that you've learned in skydiving. Like, how do you see your skydiving experience impacting your sort of normal non-skydiving life?
I think there are a lot of ways that it's sort of impacted my life. One is learning to sort of focus and be in the moment. I think I could have probably gotten there through meditation, or I'm sure there would have been other ways to do that. But for me, that was something where so I'm an engineering professor, but I do more social science work. So I really like narratives and doing narrative interviewing. And in interviewing, you have to be like you are right now. You have to be in the moment and really listening, you know, and really, really not just thinking about like, okay, shit, what am I going to ask next? Let me look at my list of questions, you know, while I'm talking or whatever.
And I do have a list of questions, but at the same time, it's like, I can't actually have a conversation with you unless I'm listening. Totally. Exactly. Love it. Love it. Sorry, go on.
And so when you're making your skydive, or, you know, for me, riding my motorcycle or whatever, like you have to be focused in that moment, or it just doesn't work. So even in, you know, faculty meetings and when I'm teaching and that sort of thing, I think learning how to focus and how to get away from all those other things that maybe are running around in your head. To be there, be present, be in the moment.
Super cool. Super cool. I think it's a thing, right? Like I've actually been talking about meditation. I've been sort of exploring meditation of late for some just reason. It's just been on my radar a little bit more. So, and I've been practicing, like trying to figure out how to do meditation for me, right? Because like skydiving, for sure, no question, I completely echo your sentiments in terms of it's the presence that it requires and how that really gives us some freedom from our busy brains if we have those or whatever. And this is sort of something I'm noticing in trying to meditate and not doing so well at it. Like it's not that easy for me to sit still. Like I'm a very active physical person. And so I find that the meditation or the presence really, for me, often comes in physical activity, immersing myself in nature and stuff like that. Definitely skydiving and definitely doing other things. So the reason I say all this is to sort of allow people who might have this idea that presence is only achieved in certain forms. Like, oh, if I can't meditate, then I'm not achieving an access to presence and focus like you described. I would say, no, that's not the case. Maybe meditation is good for some, maybe it's not for others. So,
The other thing I would say is like the flow that you get sometimes. So especially with the freestyle team, like say you go up and you're doing a jump and the first thing that you're supposed to do, and the first part of our routine, we just totally mess up. You know, the exit goes completely to shit. You can't, like if you just focus on where you messed up and you're thinking behind you, you can't move forward and you won't do a good job. But if you can just be in the moment and sort of in that flow state, then you can do such amazing things, even though you messed up some little part of it or whatever. And I love, like with work, some of the stuff I love to write. So I was working on, I was sort of a geeky type paper or whatever, but I was writing. And with that, you have to try to get into that flow state. And it's fun and enjoyable, you know, and so it makes work that you do also fun. Sort of in that state.
So true. That's such an applicable insight, literally to so many things. I mean, like, it's so easy and so normal and so easy to validate for people. Like if things don't go the way you want them to go, you know, we have an attachment to an outcome and things don't go that way. That happens all the time. That's the entertaining nature of life. Certainly skydiving as well. Like how many skydives have you been on that literally went perfectly according to plan?
Yeah.
Very few. I could probably count them on one hand in 10,000 skydives. I'm not joking. So like part of that is, it's a really cool insight, I think, because, you know, it happens a lot, right? We set goals, or we have, you know, an idea of what we want or how we want someone to respond even, and things don't go the way we think. And so it's like that ability to sort of take things as they're happening and decide in those moments and moving forward, whether it's screwing up an exit in a freestyle jump, or whether it's, you know, an interaction with someone that you like, or who knows, like it could be anything.
Or even a presidential candidate being elected. I was talking to someone earlier that was talking about moving to Canada, and I'm like, I don't think that's the answer. You know, like, okay, I can't handle this, I'm out.
The decision that you made to move forward in your life.
Yeah.
So that's sort of a piece of advice but like, I like to ask this question of everybody that I interview, is like, what, if anything, would be a piece of advice that you would give to new skydivers that are new to the sport?
I think part of it is, or part of it would be to just get involved with the community. So I see some people coming in and they just very sort of strategically want to go and make their jumps and increase their skills and, you know, do the tunnel time and do all the work that's involved, but then just sort of cut out and go do, you know, do the other things or whatever. But I think there's a lot to be learned from people's stories and from people that have been in the sport for a long time, even from, you know, different disciplines than you're pursuing, or, you know, it doesn't really matter, but you can learn so much from so many people in the sport. So sometimes I think thinking about the social side of things too, and it's not a waste of time. Like, that's super helpful to go and develop relationships with some people, you know, that you're jumping with.
Oh,
so
absolutely.
not just about what's happening in the sky.
Absolutely. It's so funny. This is a curious topic to me too, because like, this is interesting that you bring this up, the social, talking about so much of the social aspect of our sport, is that I just wrote my column about tribe and the connection and like feeling like you have friends. Like, I was kind of joking, like, how the other day I was like, I don't have any friends, which is of course a joke. I obviously have tons of friends, but meaning like where I live, I'm in this new area. So I'm like, I feel like I don't have any friends here. So it was this noted thing, like, and not like I'm all sad about it, but I was just like, But then I went, and anyway, I don't want to ruin the column, but my point is, it's a good one. Read it. Subscribe to Blue Skies Magazine.
But becoming part of the tribe, that helps. Like, I think before that point, you just feel a little bit lost and you're not sure what to do or what skydives to go on. And so if you can start to feel and identify with and become part of the tribe, then that helps build confidence, you know, and you're like, I am a skydiver. You know, I have an identity as a, you know, whatever it is, a wingsuiter or belly flyer or whatever it is. But that helps, I think that helps you become more confident and become a safer skydiver. And really start to enjoy it more.
So much more fun. And I think it's normal for people who love skydiving or like come out, because I've seen it plenty of times where people are like that as well. Mm-hmm. And I would say two things to that, to the older people in the sport who are watching this, to encourage people to walk up and say hi to someone, to actually aim to create a connection, to create something that makes them feel welcome and included and not afraid of being the person who doesn't have friends there yet because they're new. And if you are the new guy, like, at least for me, and maybe this is not for everyone, because I don't know, I don't know every skydiver in the world, but I can tell you for sure that some of the most fulfilling parts of the skydiving situation is the connections, is the human connections and the friendships that we make. Like, my life is insanely better because I know people like you, because of my best friends in the entire fucking world are all skydivers, you know? And it's not because they skydive, but it's like, I feel like if people don't, or if they kind of block off to that, then they're missing out on something so wonderful. That like, everyone really does want to be friendly unless they're an asshole, but the assholes are few and far between in my experience.
And you talking kind of made me think about something. So some of my research is on the role of emotions in student learning and engineering student learning. And some of the stuff that we found is that when students come to college, so their first year in an engineering program, it's a lot of, we call it high activation. So like really negative high activation emotions. So things like they're really frustrated, really stressed, and a lot of anxiety, isolated. They really want a sense of belonging. And then they sort of, as they move past that first year, they start to gain some confidence, and then they can start experiencing, just enjoyment and excitement, and those like still high activation, but really positive emotions.
Yes.
Out of that, like, I think, and some people get stuck in these phases where they're just bored, with the curriculum or bored with whatever. But if we can get people, in skydiving and get them through that isolation and frustration, I think you're going to hit that at some point, probably. I think most people do. It's not easy to.
What do you mean? Hit the what?
Get the frustrated or feeling sort of isolated, or maybe like you don't belong. Like, I think in the beginning it's hard, or even just going to a new place, that can happen pretty easily.
Yeah.
Because you don't know anyone yet. You haven't developed a community. But if you can keep going on and feel like you're part of a tribe or a sense of community or that sort of thing, have some goals, then that can just make it so much better.
Oh, so true.
And then you can get back to the reason why you're doing it in the first place.
Yeah.
It is fun. It's awesome. Yeah.
God, it's so fun.
Yeah.
Holy shit. It is so fun. I'm not joking. That is not a freaking play for this conversation. Like, it literally just happened. Like, I just went to Cross Keys last weekend and jumped because I wanted to, and I had so much fun. I cannot even stand how fun it. I was just like, yes, I am clearly not burned out anymore. Like, I am clearly it was just such a wonderful experience. But it does happen that you run into these little roadblocks. And that's like the thing that I would say too, is that if it's a new skydiver listening to this and trying to glean insight for themselves, is that those kinds of bumps in the proverbial road are normal. And to really just know that there are ways to be supported through those times. Like, shit, email me. I write my email on these things at the end anyway. Like, literally, people can drop me a line anytime, for real. That's cool. Oh, it's cool. Well, is there anything else that you want to deliver that you think, I mean, there's so much more I could ask you. There's no way I could get everything awesome out of these things, but
conversations. Yeah. See, I'm trying to think. I'm sure there's something else. I'm sure. Yeah, there's just so much.
What is the perfect, most exact piece of insight that is like the biggest thing ever? No. Pressure.
Yeah.
Pressure. No.
I was gonna feel like, I know we'll hang up and I'll be like, oh yeah, I should have mentioned that. But yeah, I think just that idea that it's, you're doing it because it's fun and because it's something you're passionate about and you care about. And even when you do hit some roadblocks, that doesn't mean it's over with. And you can always try something new, try a different discipline, try going to a different place, I don't know, try to skydive on a vacation or something so you can see different things and try to find your passion again and get excited.
So true. Oh, love it. Yeah, the whole growth path of life in skydiving, for sure, parallel. Yeah. Like, if you come into a dip, know it's normal, just work through it, and the next like arc of awesomeness is definitely behind it. No question about it.
I was so excited when I hit the 10-year mark, because I was like, oh, that means like I made it. I think the whole time I was like, at some point I'm just gonna be done with it, or something's gonna happen. And I just need some women that have made it past 10 years, and it seems like that's when you're sort of a lifer, like you'll be in it forever.
Oh God, I'm definitely a lifer.
How to make it 10 years,
When was that? Was that recent?
Well, I started in 2002, so 14. I guess it was a while ago.
I was excited
about that point for some reason.
I still think it's great. I mean, milestones are a real thing, and they're good to celebrate. Oh, anyway, I love it. Well, girl, thank you so much for this.
So much, Melanie.
So nice to have you. It's so cool because the peeps in the VSC, the virtual skydiving thing, like, they wanted to hear from you because they were interested in freestyle. And I was like, shit, I don't know anything about freestyle. Yeah. Let's do this. So I'm thankful that you were able to sort of impart your knowledge and stuff, and I'll send you any questions that people have. But
okay, that'd be awesome.
Thank you.
Love you.
Love you.
Bye. Bye.